97.9 The Beat, the hip-hop station. Hey, man, you already know what it is. Live and direct from the Red Room. I am your Jug Master Jay. And today, I got one of them ones sliding through. Hey, you already got to know. East Coast roots.
Yes.
Philly made them, but Long Beach pays them. Ooh, you know what I'm talking about? What you say, my boy? See a dollar?
See a dollar, see no future.
Hey, Casino Future is in the building. DF Dub, what we got going on, my boy?
Hey, man, thanks for having me, Jug. I love Dallas, man. You know, we making it happen out here, though.
So first time in the city?
Hey, second time, first time on some music thing, though. City always show me love when I'm out here, man. I love it.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. So you said the first time you came, what you come out here and what you up to?
Yeah, we just shooting through the city sometime. You know how I get around.
Okay, yeah. City, state to state, we getting it in. So
yes,
let's go and get into it, man. Like, just coming up. I know you seen some of the finer things in life.
I have.
But some of them times wasn't just so pleasant. So how did the struggle shape you, and seeing the other side at a young age, how did that shape you as a man and an artist?
Hey, the struggle builds the character. You know what I mean? It makes you a genuine person. What you gonna rap about? What you gonna talk about? You know, I draw all my motivation from a real place and real experiences. You know what I mean? So it gives me all the motivation and inspiration to make this music.
Okay. I can dig that. And you know, like I said in your intro, you know, I was born in Philly.
Yeah.
Ended up in Cali and Long Beach. Shout out to 213. And people don't know this about me. I lived in Torrance, California for 11 months.
Okay, that was up the street.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with the turf, you know what I'm saying, a little bit. So what was the biggest change? You know, we know the climate, you know, but just coming from a gritty city like Philly and going to the bright lights of LA, what changed for you?
You know, Philly, it's a concrete jungle, but the West is wild. You know what I mean? You just got to adjust to your surroundings. So, I mean, the biggest change was just, gangland. You know what I mean? It's the culture. You know what I mean? You got to adapt to that. Philly is more about, your crew, you know, what y'all doing on the Blizzdock. You know what I mean? So, it's just an adjustment. You know, I had to find my peoples.
Right. You know? And sometimes finding your tribe, you know, it's not where you at. Is where you want to be. You know, sometimes finding your tribe can be the hardest thing. So how long did it take you to adjust? And what were some things that stayed the same, though? What are the similarities you seen between the two places you were?
Man, you know, people are people, man. You know, everybody just trying to make it day to day. You know, the struggle is real. So, you know, it's just a different grind, I guess. You know what I mean? So it didn't take long to find my people. I was always heavy in the sports, you know what I mean? Always in the boxing and basketball and all that, you know. So I'll be up at Kings Park, you know, on the east side of Long Beach, you know. Plus, you know, my family from Long Beach, you know what I mean? They migrated early, 80s or something like that, you know what I mean?
So they entrenched,
Yeah, they already there. So it was an easy transition for me, you know what I mean?
Okay, so how did that translate to you starting getting your origins in the music business and doing this rap thing?
You know, I never aspired for this, Jug. You know what I mean? This was something that kind of just dropped in my lap. The homies was always doing their music thing. You know what I mean? We used to burn hot box, you know what I mean, on the Blizzdock, you know.
In the car freestyle.
We in the car freestyling. We shooting on each other, you know what I mean? So kind of just turned into me getting behind the mic. You know, I used to write for a couple of people, so did a little ghostwriting, and I wrote something that was personal for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I couldn't let you have this one, you know, so I got behind the mic and I let it go.
Okay. I can dig it. And you say you started out ghostwriting. How did that come about, and what did you like about it?
You know, I could always write. You know what I mean? Like I said, I burn a little bit, you know, so when you burn, I get creative. I start thinking about, you know, the day's events, you know, all the little funny things we seen around the hood and this person and that person, things we done did, and it's just a blessing to be able to articulate that and capture those memories, you know, in a musical way, you know what I mean? So that's how I kind of transitioned into that.
Okay, that's dope. And you say, you know, you kind of started getting a little better, and you was like, you know what, nah, you can't have this one. I gotta keep this
one. Yeah, too personal.
Yeah, so when you in that process of creating, are you chasing more so the bars, trying to have the artist, the art of storytelling, trying to paint that picture, or are you really just telling your truth and where it come from? You just letting it out and just put it together like that?
I'm just telling my truth, but of course I like that word articulate. You know what I mean? I like to make it a hood comic book. You feel me? So everything is extra. Everything is, you know, extra funny, extra, you know what I mean? But it's all from a real place. So, you know, I hope when people listen to my music, they can see where I'm coming from. they can see that picture in their mind. So that's the goal every time.
You said a hood comic book. So if you was a hood superhero, who would you be? Who would you be? The Flash? You be Superman, Batman? You got everything in your belt. Like what superhero? What hood superhero you gonna be?
Hey, we done made up a whole new superhero. His name Black Man.
Black Man. Okay.
You gotta be superhero, strong though.
Okay, so Black Man and Jug Man gotta link up, and we gonna take over the game. You know what I'm
no doubt.
So checking out your new single. We're gonna talk about that in a second. But started going through your catalog and some of the stuff you already out. And your music to me it got a feel, it got some depth to it. It's not just one listen. I can hear the pain, I can hear the struggle, I can hear the triumph. When I can hear all these emotions. It's kind of more personal. So what's something that you put into your music that was actually hard for you to come out and say because it is so personal?
Man, I don't think anything is difficult to say. I think it's just the way you say it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I ain't gonna reveal every detail or what happened on this date. You know what I mean? We in the court of law. We not in the court of law, man. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say it the way I see it. You know what I mean? And sometimes people don't think about it the same way. Maybe I'm just burning that extra good and I see things a little differently, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's just something that comes naturally for me.
For sure. And you just spoke on something that we're seeing a lot in hip hop right now. You said we not in the court of law.
Right.
So how do you kind of feel about, I'm not gonna mention no specific incident or particular artist or artists, but how do you feel about these guys kind of self-snitching? There's nothing wrong with, living your lyrics. I don't like no CB4 ass nigga, but it's another thing to take it across that line and actually people, places, times, that's really laying out the story of the dirt you doing. How you feel about that right now?
I mean, my opinion is anyone going, some of these people do anything for clout, man. They lying for likes, they lying for their persona, their image and all that. They doing all the extras to get attention, man. I don't subscribe to that. But, whatever they got to do, I feel. You know what I mean? I feel like we come from a genuine place, so we should be able to speak to authentic experiences. You feel me? So,
straight up.
That's where I'm at with mine. So everything authentic, everything come from a real place. But, again, it's a hood comic book.
I'm ready for the first issue. So do you feel like with that, do you feel like it's kind of risky to be, genuine and keep it 100 in this game? Or do you think we got to put some of that clout seasoning and like to you, what's the formula?
I mean, like I said, everything I do, I draw from a real place. It's just I keep that hood comic book mentality when I'm coming up with something, cooking up something. First of all, the beat got to speak to me.
Talk about it.
You know what I mean? If the beat ain't talking to me, I can't even reflect the right way. You know what I mean? So the beat got to talk to me. I got something I could talk about, and I'm going to say it in a way that, one time, or what y'all call them six out here, they ain't gonna be able to track down what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the homies that was there, they know. And rest of the piece of the ones that ain't here.
Yeah. So with that, and being kind of, you're in a unique situation.
Yeah.
You're not many people can say they've lived both on the East Coast and West Coast and kind of thrived.
Yeah.
So how did growing up on both coasts inspire you musically, and who were some of the people you were listening to that you draw back to today? Be like, I'm kind of going for this feel, or I want this record to make you feel like when I heard,
I was a young boy, man. My older cousins, uncles, and all that, they was doing what they was doing. They was playing certain music. They don't play old stuff. They go back in time. Yeah. They make sure I heard the stuff that came before my time. You feel me? So they going back to Illmatic and, all them old artists. You know what I mean? Yeah. I love Nas. You know what I mean? So, 50 and all them. And, that's that East Coast part of it. But then I'm on the West Coast. So, of course, there's Snoop and the East Siders and, Trey D and all that. So I feel like you're right. I am in a unique position, to see both coasts and the culture of both coasts and kind of bring that together. I think it's something unique in itself and it's special. And I think Corrupt, you know what I mean? Big Bro was talking about Corrupt, kind of had that same little background. Right. So, I think about those artists that came before me, and I want to make something that, like I said, it ain't lazy. It's in depth. You know what I mean? Like you said, the struggle is real, the pain. You can hear it in my lyrics. Something like a poet. You know what I mean? And that's how I kind of look at it. You know.
So we went from a hood comic book to the hood poet. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
man.
We're going to speak to him. So now we in Dallas.
Yes, sir.
You came pulled up on Jug Live from the Red Room 97.9 to beat the hip hop station.
Yes, salute.
So how do you put those East Coast ingredients and them West Coast ingredients in a pot and make it a gumbo that the people down south gonna embrace? Because I'm not gonna say this is a tough market,
right.
but we not East Coast and we not West. The
right.
South always had their own particular style and flavor.
Love the South.
Man, I was DJing I know this kind of we gonna give it to. I was DJing something last week, and homie came up and asked me to play some Mozzie.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll play some Mozzie. Like I said, I lived in Torrance for a little while. Right. So playing the Mozzie, even though he Sacktown. Shout out to the Bay, y'all know what I mean. All that. So I'm playing it. And the girl just bust out, we don't want to hear this New York ass shit. And I was like, baby, this from California.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear that.
Right.
Put the big boogie on. Put the Zillionaire Dough on. I'm just like, oh, hold on. So how do you put all those influences with what you do already into something that, the South, the North, the Midwest, everybody, you want to take this thing nationwide, they can really latch on to it.
Hey, I want to make everybody love it, and if you love rap, you're going to love this. You know what I mean? I don't think it, one thing I could say is, of course, the South has their legends, the West, the East, everybody got their legends, man.
Right.
But everybody respect good music.
Talk about it.
You know what I mean? Especially when you rapping about something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to hear a verse that sound good, make me move a little bit. I could play in my car, smashing down the street, but then I could really be like, damn, what'd he say? You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's run that back. Let me hear that again. So, somebody I like is Kendrick. I feel like Kendrick be doing that. And, that's someone I like in the game right now. And, whenever I put my pen to paper or get behind the mic, man, I always try to bring my best in my, from a genuine place. You know what I mean? So
right.
Ain't never no half-stepping over here. So I think the South, they respect good music, no matter where it come from.
You would think that.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Everybody's not as eclectic or had the experiences I've had. But,
right.
But, they love Kendrick here. They love Dr. Dre here. They love Snoop here. They love SZA. They love, they love a lot of the West Coast people, but, just... Man, I'm just saying from my experience as a DJ, I get to play some Draco the Ruler or some Frosty the Snowman, all that different type of stuff. They're like, no.
Nah, they don't want to hear it. Huh?
We had Blue Bloods Clan come out here one time.
Okay, shout out to them.
And they was hosting the club, and the club kind of turned their back on them. I was like, this crazy, but then they came and did it 6 months later, and they showed them mad love. So
okay,
the possibility is here. And what I tell a lot of artists who come through Dallas, like, bro, if you get Dallas, this is a hub. You get Dallas. I done seen many artists, once they get Dallas rocking behind them.
Right. Yes.
Stratosphere. So,
and Lil Skywalker, the boy that's on my hook, he from Dallas, man. Shout out to Lil Skywalker.
Yeah, well, let's go and talk about the Emotional Mayhem. How that record come about and how you end up doing a track with somebody from Dallas.
Hey, man, I reached out. I liked what he was doing, and he was open to it. So I was happy to get him the track. You know what I mean? I kind of told him where I was going with it. I gave him a few. I kind of wrote the hook a little bit. He threw his own spin on it.
Yeah.
And it just came together, man. Yeah. So I'll shout out to him.
Can you kind of credit that to your former ghostwriting and just having that sharp pen, being able to write for somebody else the way you want it to sound, and just trusting them to do their thing with it.
Exactly. He had the sound we wanted, and this is what I heard him doing on my track.
Okay,
you know what I mean. So that's what I gave him, and hey, he blew it out the water.
That's what's up, bro. So how did you even have a thought process to come up with that record? That was my introduction to you. And I mean, you seen the video. I had listened to it probably 2 more times before I sent that video over to y'all. But I was just like, this cool. It made me want to, burn right then. Just put one in the air and just cruise around the city. So what was your thought process and how did you come up with that record?
Again, to draw off real experience, man. I I went through it. I had a beautiful woman, but she was toxic. You know what I mean? Or I was toxic. Maybe I played a part. Right. I ain't gonna blame it on the women. You know what I mean?
Right. You light skinned like me. You had something to do with it, boy.
Yeah, man. Maybe I did. You know what I mean? I think it kind of speak to a bigger issue. We need healing in our community. You know what I mean? We got to come together and get past the BS and, build something real. So when I heard that beat, that's what I heard. And that's what I put my pen to. I thought about her. I thought about all the good times and all the nonsense. And it came out like that, man.
That's what's up. You just touched on something like we need healing in our community. And as a black man, we need space for us to heal.
Yes.
Specifically. We brought up to be hard body tough. We don't show no emotions. Right. We these warriors out in the streets. But our hearts get broke too.
All the time.
Keisha did me wrong. Like I want to cry on somebody's shoulder, but we don't feel safe to do that. So the fact that you expressing that through a song, brother, hats off. And I love that. So if it's a fan out here in the DFW, it's their first time ever hearing of Casino Future, what should they understand about you after the first song they hear?
Man, everything real. I'm always going to give my best to express my experience. And hopefully, a song like Emotional Mayhem will help you identify those red flags so you could build something better in your own relationship. You know what I mean? So if that's your first time hearing me, hopefully you take that away and you like the track more than anything. You know what I mean?
That's dope. I love it. And I'm going to get a little in your business now. A little bit.
Yeah.
You saying hood superhero, the hood poet. And sometimes being in this entertainment business, we got to put on different hats, different masks.
Yeah.
So if the streets, the industry, and your family all wanted different versions of you, which version would you choose to be at all times?
Myself.
Okay.
All those places raised me. So they should all be happy with who I am. You know what I mean? I could only be true to myself. I can't be what others want me to be. And I think that's what every artist that's doing their thing, do you. You know what I mean? Don't try to be nobody else, draw off your real life and create your own sound. So I'm always gonna be me, and if you don't like it, then you don't like it. I hope you love it, but if not, don't matter to me.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
And I want to leave with this last question. This is the last question I want to ask you. So, talking to you with this interview, like I can see, every record you making is telling a story.
It is.
So, where exactly are you at? Which chapter are you in this book, Casino Future? What chapter is this story right now?
Right now, we going up. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
We try to go up. I'm here with Jug in Dallas, 97.9 The Beat. This my first on-air interview, video-wise. People can see me. Sky's the limit from here.
Man, we taking out. We doing real big things. Let everybody know where they can get the music, where they can follow you, where they can, just tap in everything Casino Future. Let them know.
Hey, CasinoFutureMusic.com. We got our own website. We building our own thing over here.
Oh, man.
Independent.
Oh, man.
Hey, I appreciate all the love and support. We got exclusive behind the scenes, events coming up, concerts. I'm ready to come out. I'm going to tear up the show, man.
Sir.
You know what I mean? It's definitely a vibe. So come out, come see me. Everything started at CasinoFutureMusic.com. Of course, we got the IG going, the YouTube going. CasinoFutureMusic.com is where I want you to go. Subscribe. And tap in, tap in with your boy.
The next big thing out the West Coast, Casino Future. Jug said it first. I stamped it. Live from the Red Room right here, 97 on The Beat, the hip hop station.